Coming at y'all. I want to do this video, and I'll probably even mark this as part one. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the title, whatever title I'll come up with for this video, I might even mark it as part one, because this is definitely a video that I don't want to do at one time in its entirety, because it will probably be too long. I don't want to bore people, and I don't want to confuse people. People that are into cars, people who are mechanics and stuff like that, you all will follow along with this with no problem. It's the women that I'm afraid of losing. So that's the reason for why I want to do maybe a part two to this video. This is going to be a video about cars. It's going to be kind of sort of a rant. I'm going to bounce around and shit, but I want to stick to the main topic, which the main topic being automobiles. Okay. What you got on screen right here is just a little clip of some news station. I think this is St. Louis, that I want to play first. I want to dive into this first, and then I'll start my rant, because I want to touch on the electric vehicles. How do I want to word this? I want to touch on the electric vehicles, and I want to really drive home the agenda behind the electric vehicles. And it's not just the electric vehicles, guys. You have to understand that all of these sensors that they have been putting in these cars for the last 25 to 30 years, all of that was a precursor to getting us to the electric vehicles. Okay, not to mention they have power sources. Let me also say this. I'm going to say this and I'm going to get to the video. They have power sources that can go a longer distance than what they're giving us in these cars now. They got the power source. Trust me, I hate to sound childish and silly. I hate to be that way. But what you think the flux capacitor was? All right? What you think the flux capacitor was? And those, the 1.21 gigawatts, what you think they was telling you in Back to the Future? What you think they were really telling you? You got the flux capacitor, you got the 1.21 gigawatts, and you got the damn plutonium. Right? And we're talking about the first Back to the Future. So they got the capability to give you a longer range with these electric vehicles. There's a reason for why they don't do it. All right. But I'm going to stop that right there, because I want to start playing some of this so we can really get into why I'm making this video.
Story tonight every driver needs to hear. Automakers accused of tracking and selling your driving data to insurance companies without proper consent. Some drivers allege their auto insurance went up because of it. Contact 2's Mike Colombo investigates.
Brant McDonald is a hard-working farmer from Valdosta, Georgia, who is happy to have a new Chevy truck.
I bought the truck in September of 23. I bought it over the phone, and it showed up at my house.
Several months later, McDonald says he read national reporting accusing General Motors and other automakers of selling data about the driving behavior of millions of people to insurance companies. Online, he found a community of drivers on Reddit who said their driving data was tracked and sold. It's where I found McDonald and asked him to be a part of this story. Some drivers in the forum allege their data...
Before we go any further, I want you to understand that they are violating the Privacy Act of 1974. Oh, excuse me. Go back. Thank you. They're violating the Privacy Act of 1974. All right? I just want to put that out there first. Among other shit. That's the first thing that they're violating. And I'll put that out there just because, you know, if you're into discharging debt, and if you stay on top of that shit the way that I do, then you know that a lot of things that you can discharge is by way of the Privacy Act. All right. See, they're not supposed to give away this information without your consent. And it has to be written consent. And even when you give them consent, you have a right by written message, by written notification, you have a right to rescind that consent. Okay? So if you had the ability to do that by power of the so-called law, right? If you have the ability to do that, then you know damn well they're not supposed to be doing this shit to you in your automobile. All right? But anyway, continue.
Was recorded without their knowledge or consent, and that their insurance rates went up because of it. McDonald said he requested a consumer disclosure report from global data broker LexisNexis.
The total report is somewhere around 325 to 350 pages. And over 300 pages of that are just my driving history in that short period of time.
McDonald shared his report with us. This trip from November 2023 recorded 1 acceleration and 3 hard brake events.
Now, what I can tell you is this: LexisNexis is one of the things that we were studying when I was doing the Zoom meetings. My cousin Sean, the brother Randall, they probably remember that from being in the meetings and shit. That was one of the things we should talk about. LexisNexis is on a higher plateau than Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, right? LexisNexis has everything. As a matter of fact, it's 3 other ones too. It's either 3 or 4 other ones outside of LexisNexis, right? And I'm not talking about TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. I'm not talking about them. I'm saying outside of LexisNexis, it's like 3 or 4 other companies like LexisNexis. These motherfuckers got everything. They got your motherfucking medical history. They got your criminal record. They got like your, the shit like with your house and repossessions, foreclosures, and, etc. They got all that shit in one joint. Straight up. And they're not supposed to be doing this shit. Credit reporting agencies are illegal to begin with. I don't want to get off into that because I want to stay on the topic of automobiles and why I'm making this video. You're being watched, right? You're listening to a car enthusiast. That's a hobby of mine. Cars is something that I've been into. That's probably one of the only things my old man ever did for me in my life in terms of inspiration. Was he kept me at the drag strip at a very young age. And I'm talking about 4, 5 years old. I've been going to the drag strip. I'm 47 years old. Okay. And it just turned into a passion for me. When I was 6 and 7 years old, I would be in the house on Sundays watching Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty and motherfucking Dale Waltrip and shit in NASCAR. I was into the Formula One circuit and all that other shit. I was with the Indy 500, aka the Indian 500. Okay, I used to be into that kind of shit when I was a kid. Cars has just been a passion for me. And I tell you all here and now, as you listen to me, as a motherfucker that's worked as a mechanic in the field, a motherfucker who's been a tow truck driver for AAA, meaning my job was to come tow people and get them out of trouble. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like if their car broke down, we didn't deal with repossessions and towing people's cars because they parked by fire hydrants. And, if y'all got AAA, y'all know what I'm talking about. Take it from somebody who's had that experience, who still works on cars now. I just changed my oil over the weekend. Take it from me. You don't want nothing new coming down the pike. Nothing. That's one of the reasons for why used cars are so high. They're telling you, oh yeah, used cars are expensive, because nobody can afford to buy a brand new car and blah, blah, blah. Well, that is part of the problem. That is, but it's not the only problem. The other problem is because of these mandates and shit that the government is trying to institute. Notice I said mandates. I ain't saying nothing about law. And, that's why you always hear certain individuals constantly talking about the Constitution, because the Constitution is the only thing that matters. But because all these mandates and shit that they got for these cars coming down the pike starting in 30 days. Yeah, because that's holy shit, this is 2025. Holy fuck, this is the end of November. Yeah, you're looking at 40 days. 40 days from now, every car coming off the assembly line is going to be able to look up your ass while you in the seat. Now deal with that.
It clearly shows General Motors was the source of the driving record.
I never imagined that every trip, every turn, every time I press the gas, press the brake, that someone is looking over my shoulder and taking note of that and sending it to the insurance company.
It sounds like you're being treated like a child. What is the definition of a minor? Isn't the definition of a minor in law somebody who has not reached the age of 18 or able to contract, or somebody who's not in his right mind, somebody who's feeble-minded, somebody who's not capable of handling their own affairs? This is exactly how they treat us. You goddamn right they need to look over your shoulder at every turn in them and this, that, and the other. Every time you step on the gas, every time you fart, you damn right they got to look over your shoulder, because your life don't belong to you, sir. It don't belong to you, it belong to them.
It's nothing I would ever agree to.
Since April, 7 class action lawsuits have been filed against General Motors, OnStar, and data brokers LexisNexis and Verisk Analytics. The suits have now been consolidated in a Georgia federal court. The suits accuse GM of partnering with data brokers to collect driving data without proper consent using OnStar smart driver technology.
Now you think about this, OnStar has been around for quite some time. Did you know that since the inception of OnStar, they've been able to do this and they've been slowly walking people into it? See, the reason for why I'm doing this video now and I want to do a part 2 and maybe a part 3 if necessary is because I have been promising to talk to y'all about these cars. And, you know, I show y'all my little RC cars that I got that run on gas, you know what I'm saying? Because they do have full-blown electric vehicles that are faster than the ones that I buy. Now think about that, right? I've been promising to talk to y'all about this shit. It's so disgusting to me, right? It's perverted. Every fucking thing is perverted. We talking about automobiles. How in the hell are you so much of a piece of filthy excrement that you pervert the automobile industry? Like what is wrong with these sick motherfuckers, man? You can't even have a passion for cars anymore. And I have been saying for the longest I was going to do this video. I have been saying it. I've been promising y'all this. We're going to get into this because what you all need to understand is what they got coming down the pike starting in 2025. And actually, the 2025 models are out now. Every new year model comes out the winter before that year. So in other words, like we finna be in the 2025, right? The 2025 year model cars started rolling off the assembly line in the middle of October. We already at the end of November. Do you understand? You can buy a 2025 car now, or at least you can order it. You can at least go to the dealership and order that truck, or order that SUV, or order that, pickup truck or whatever. You could at least do that now at the end of November. I'm telling you what I know. You don't want nothing they got coming. Nothing. And now, mind you, they already got the technology. Like I told you, OnStar's been around for what? This 2024, 20 years. Did OnStar come out like in the early 2000s or something? Like around 2005 or some old shit like that? They've been able to do this since then. And what you're seeing in this bogus-ass news report that they're doing, and what makes it bogus is the fact that they slow walking you into it. They telling you, oh yeah, we just so happened to catch GM and we've got them in a class action lawsuit. These dirty bastards, right? That's just their way of walking you into it. Well, they've been doing this shit all along. If you got GPS, they can track you. But it's getting deeper. It's finna get deeper though. They, like how I told you, the shit that's coming out down the pipe from 2025 and beyond, they're gonna be able to look up your ass while you still sitting on the passenger seat. I'm talking about 100% surveillance, video surveillance, audio surveillance, the whole 9 yards. Ain't no more getting, excuse my language to all my ladies, I love my sisters, I love women, so y'all should understand what I'm gonna say next, right? But no disrespect to my ladies. Ain't gonna be no more getting no pussy in the back seat without them knowing. All right, now I don't do that no more. I swear, I don't do that kind of stuff no more. But I am a man and I've always been heterosexual and I love my women. I love them. So you got to forgive me. I was young once, okay? I used to be young once. Leave me the hell alone. But I'm going to say it again for the youngsters. For my brothers and sisters that subscribe to me who that may be around my age and older and they got nieces and nephews and all that other stuff that are in their early 20s and late teens and all that, they can go back and explain what the Lone Wolf saying. And the Lone Wolf telling you plain as day, you ain't finna be getting no motherfucking pussy in the back seat. She ain't finna be going down on you in the back seat in the in the drive-in or nothing else no more without them knowing. Guarantee you that. And I'm talking about when I say without them knowing, they gonna know exactly what you doing. You in the backseat fucking. Continue.
It's alleged the information was sold to auto insurance companies, resulting in higher premiums for some drivers. In July, Senators Ed Markey of Massachusetts and Ron Wyden of Oregon urged the Federal Trade Commission to investigate what they called the invasive data privacy practices of automakers. In addition to GM, their letter alleged Honda and Hyundai used deceptive data practices. In August, Texas
is all of them. Let me tell you something. Tesla is set up like an airplane. You know how every airplane, regardless of size or commercial airplane or whatever the case may be, it all has a black box, also known as like a transponder or whatever. Y'all ever heard of that? A black box for airplanes? That's what Tesla is. Straight up, Tesla can take your motherfucking temperature, your body temperature if it want to. They'll know what your body temperature is. They'll know if you're running a fever while you're driving a Tesla. Straight up. This is no joke. They got cameras all inside of them, which means they can see you. They got the Wi-Fi shit built all into the goddamn shit. And I'm going to tell you something. About the way that they're going with this. One of the reasons for why they're getting rid of the push start and all, they're getting rid of the key. You put your key in to start the engine and all that. One of the reasons for why they're getting rid of a lot of stuff like that is because that gives them direct access. You bypass the analog. See, analog shit can't be hacked. This is what the problem was when you was having floppy disks, the MS-DOS drives and all that shit from back in the day with Macintosh computers and back when Apple had first got started and all that other shit. When everything was all analog, well, all that shit dead now. That was the whole point of digital. That's the whole point of digital. Anything digital carries a signal, and it's all about the signal. It's all about the signal. The damn Tesla ain't nothing but a rolling, the Cybertruck and all that other stupid shit ain't nothing but a rolling Wi-Fi router. That's all the fuck it is. It's just that simple. You can log in to your phone, get on your phone and hit the Wi-Fi and shit on your phone and get into the Wi-Fi on the fucking Cybertruck. It's all about the signal. They're bypassing you using the key to start your ignition now because they tapping everything into that. You know how much difficult and how expensive and how black marketed it's going to be to bypass all this shit? It's easier to bypass a system when you have a digital analog system, when it's digital and analog. But when you got 100% digital, it's very difficult to bypass that. You have to rewrite the code after you get into it. Okay? So the shit that these motherfuckers are on, and anybody who know anything about computers, you got relatives, friends, homies, or whatever that are into computers. They work with them at work, they IT people and all that. Start picking these people's brain about this shit that these motherfuckers are doing. Because I'm telling you, this shit that they got coming with the automobiles in 2025 and beyond, man, this shit is, I'm talking about these motherfuckers is treacherous. I'll walk. And then everything is all starting to come together. Don't forget the digital ID thing come into effect in May. The real ID bullshit, which is, I call it the first step to digital ID. Next thing you know, your ID gonna be on your cell phone. You ain't gonna even have an option of not having no motherfucking cell phone. Straight up. It's all coincide. You ain't gonna be able to fly domestically without this ID. They setting it up to the point to where you gotta buy these cars that like I say, they can stick a microscope up your ass. They're gonna start raising insurance rates for people like myself who refuse to buy newer cars. Hell, the car I just bought is 15 years old. Straight up. I'm a fucking asshole. Anytime you lead me in a direction that I see ain't cool, I'm going in the opposite fucking direction. Anytime you insist upon me doing something, I'ma not do it. Anytime you insist upon me not doing something, I'ma do it. That's just the bottom line. I don't give a fuck how much of a car enthusiast I am. I don't care how much I love cars and the passion that I have for cars. This shit right here, no. I'm not going to be a part of this. I'm going to be like how the Cubans used to be. You know how the Cubans had a reputation for, they knew his car was 30 years old, and that was 50 years ago. Remember when Cuba had that type of reputation? When wasn't nobody importing no new cars there? So they had to rely on the transportation from what the vehicles they had already had. They had to rely on keeping them running and shit. Yeah, that's what I'm be on. You can make your own gasoline and shit to power your gasoline engine, and it won't fuck your injectors up or nothing. You won't lose compression, nothing. But that's a story for another day. I don't want to get into that part of it. I just want to really get to. We'll say that this video here will be the introduction to automobiles, because I want to show you all a lot of stuff. I want to show you guys some things so you can understand, being that man or woman who may not know anything about cars. Now, I know in most cases it be generally the women who don't know, but you got some men who don't know about cars too. You know what I'm saying? Just like you got a handful of women who do, right? But I tend to cater to women the most when it come down to automobiles, because I know women get violated the most when it come down to their automobiles. You know what I'm saying? Because in a lot of cases with men, sometimes the shit just don't seem right to us enough to the point to where they're, a nigga be like, oh man, I really ain't got the money right now. You know what I'm saying? But I'll be back. And they'll just say, fuck it, and leave. And that's how they'll get out of, not getting the work done. But in reality, they didn't believe that mechanic or that mechanic shop or whatever the case may be. Whereas with women get taken by that because it's like they lose a sense of security when their car is fucked up. That's like losing a sense of security. Like, how am I going to get to work? How am I going to get from work to the daycare to pick up my kids? And then I got to get them over here so I can go over to my second job and blah, blah, blah. So for women feel vulnerable and shit without a ride. You dig? And as a result of that, they get taken advantage of the most. I've seen it in the field. I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? So I tend to cater to women more than anybody else when it comes down to vehicles. But what I'm talking about now is not just from a mechanical standpoint in terms of, you need work, what engines are fucking terrible, what cars to stay away from, what transmissions are practically just fall out the bottom and shit. This ain't a video more so about the mechanics of it and good and bad cars. It's more so a video about what they have coming down the pike in regards to automobiles. Because like how I said, they perverted. It's perverted, man. Just understand that shit. Until we get into the next video that I make, and if necessary, a part 3. Just understand it ain't good, man. It's nothing good. It's all perverted. It's like, why y'all doing this stupid shit? Oh, that's right, because y'all some dumb motherfuckers. I forgot. You feel me? It's that kind of shit. But anyway, continue.
Attorney General sued GM and OnStar, accusing the companies of violating Texas consumer law.
I have a right to my private data, and stealing my data.
It's not just Texas consumer law, guys and girls. But yes, it is Texas consumer law as well. But it's also federal law. The Privacy Act of 1974 is on a federal level. All right? Look it up. The Privacy Act of 1974. That's a federal thing. Now, did every state adopt something similar to protect consumers and their privacy? Absolutely. They have consumer protection laws in Illinois. They got them in Texas. They got them in Arizona. They got them in New York. They got them in Cali and in Pennsylvania. But the Privacy Act of 1974, that's some federal shit.
Stealing.
Attorney Jer Nixon with the Simon Law Firm in St. Louis is monitoring the cases.
If these companies without adequate notice are able to not only share but sell this data for profit to third parties, it just opens a door that we don't want to go down that road.
Nixon hopes these lawsuits provide consumers more transparency.
Private lawsuits do change companies' behaviors, and this is certainly an example of one where
it's not just about changing companies' behavior. See, here's what you have to understand about what goes on with these companies, and it also alludes to the fact of how they're all in bed with the government. Nobody ever goes to jail for this shit. And it's men and women that is behind the selling, the transferring, and the collection of this data. We built the fucking computers. We built all of the shit. We created it. Well, not created, but we learned how to harness these signals and create signals and grab signals out of thin air and all that shit. Man did this. It was man. And they want to hide behind a fucking company because corporations don't exist. A corporation is nothing more than a brick and mortar building or wherever the fuck you say you work out of. That's all it is. It's the same thing with an office. You could say, oh, I got to go to the office. Your office could be whatever. Denzel showed you that in Training Day. He said, come on, man, we finna go to you. Like, you ready to go to the office? Ethan Hawke was like, yeah. He said, you're in the office, baby. When he hit them fucking switches on that Monte Carlo, your office could be anything. Your business could be anywhere. But it's the man or woman that's behind the motherfucker, I mean, AKA in the office, or AKA in the building, or behind the corporation. It's the man and woman. And they want to continue to hide behind these corporations by using lingo and language like that. Remember, I told you, to the trained ear and to the trained eye.
Court could order that these companies are not allowed to sell or share or use this.
No, motherfucker. It's not these companies. It's these fucking sentient beings. It's these people walking around with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a fucking head and a mouth and a brain like you and me. It's them, motherfucker. It ain't no goddamn company. It's people. It's disgusting ass, perverted ass, downright low down ass fucking people. Get it right.
Data as they are.
For now, it's on consumers to control their privacy. Andrea Amico founded Privacy for Cars. He says vehicleprivacyreport.com is a good starting place for drivers.
They just enter the VIN, and then we'll tell them in simple terms, so with graphics and icons that they can click on, what type of data the manufacturer says they can collect, what they say that they can do with this data, selling and sharing it.
In a news release, General Motors announced it discontinued OnStar Smart Driver, terminating its partnerships with LexisNexis and Verisk. The company said it would...
Now, you see that shit? Did y'all see that? Let me rewind it. Let me go back.
The manufacturer says they can collect, what they say that they can do with this data, selling and sharing it.
In a news release, General Motors announced it discontinued OnStar Smart Driver, terminating its partnerships with LexisNexis and Verisk. The company said it would...
You terminating your partnership with them for what? Now you want to play the disassociation game. Oh my God. We had no idea this company was doing this. It's like, come on, man. Don't y'all see the games? Y'all don't see how the shit get old? It get old, man, because it's the same fucking tricks that they keep playing all the time. Now you want to play the disassociation game. Now y'all want to play the blame game. Oh, nope, that nigga left it on. Oh, no, I told him to turn off when he left. And oh, no, she the one that left it on. This is the fucking game. They do it all the time. The same old fucking game. And it's like how I told y'all before. This is one of the reasons why they give you the keyless entry and all this other bullshit, because they want to make it difficult for you to be able to bypass this. They want to make it difficult for you to be able to yank all this shit out. You know what I'm saying? The little motherfucker told you that worked in Ludacris' shop in the second Fast and the Furious when they brought the Evo and the fucking punk ass what the fuck was that piece of shit ass Mitsubishi Eclipse that Tyrese was driving and shit. When they went over to Ludacris' shop and shit, the car shop that he had, the little Asian motherfucker told him, he's like, man, I don't know, bro, this GPS is hacked into everything. Your ignition, the ECU, everything. And that was back then. At least the fucking Evo wasn't a push start. At least that piece of shit ass fucking Mitsubishi Eclipse that Tyrese was driving was, you had to put a key in there and start it. That wasn't even no push start. If that shit was tied into all of that back then, what you think is into it now? What you think OnStar ain't tied into your ECU? Oh, we're going to terminate our partnership with them. Really? Well, then what y'all finna do about the system that's in place? Because it ain't no just turning it off. It ain't no just hitting the switch. It's like, no, you got to eradicate that shit. Their software code is all through the fucking truck. That was like a Chevy pickup truck that they were showing the guy when I first started playing the segment in the beginning. That was like a Chevy pickup that he said he bought. It was a fucking pickup truck, man. So if they doing this shit to a fucking pickup truck, what you think they doing to these Lexuses and these Caddies and these motherfucking Infinities and you know what I'm saying, Acuras and shit, even though I got one, but what you think they doing to the newer ones? Because, man, like I said, it's 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what you think they doing to this new shit? You don't think that the ECU ain't running through your ignition? Because it is. It's gonna run through your ECU. It's gonna have everything to do with your acceleration, meaning none of this shit will work. You try to rip out just that one component and it'll shut down 10 other parts of the car, is what I'm trying to explain to people who may not know anything about cars. And what I'm saying is, because of technology and how it is advanced, and it's advanced in a perverted way, they had the ability now to make it, it's not impossible, ain't nothing impossible, because the people who created this shit, they know ways around it. So it's not impossible. But for regular old people like you and I, shit. We ain't even got into the whole thing about them trapping you in the car driving you some fucking way you don't want to go. We ain't gotten all that. I told y'all that in videos in the past about, Back to the Future. Again, I don't mean to sound silly. Back to the Future was the first movie that I can remember. Now, maybe there's some other people out here that's older than me that seen movies from back in the early 60s, early 70s, late 60s or whatever, who may say, no, Lone Wolf, there's another movie that came out, right? And that's fine. But in my lifetime, the first Back to the Future movie was the first movie I know of where they showed you that they can control a real car by remote control. Somebody go back and look up when the first Back to the Future came out. Now, mind you, that was a gas engine. That DeLorean. That was a gas engine. That wasn't no electric car. That was a gas engine. I can only imagine what the servos and shit look like. I can only Straight up, I can only imagine what those servos look like that they used to control that car. But that was the first movie they ever made where they showed you. And they did it low key. Oh, you got this crazy weird ass scientist and we're going to 80 miles an hour. And everybody slept it. They missed it. Straight up. So if they had that technology back in 1984? When did the first Back to the Future come out? 84 or something, right? 83? Michael J. Fox, he did Back to the Future first, right? Not Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf came out after that. Yeah, it's like 1984 or something when he did Back to the Future. Right after Family Ties or something. Matter of fact, I think they were still airing Family Ties. But that was the first movie I know about. So if they had that technology back then, and probably well before the 80s, what you think they can do now with electric cars? You don't think them motherfuckers wouldn't kill you? Listen, they got some shit called drive-by-wire. And we're going to dive into some more of these terms and some more of these features at a later date. I'll even bring up videos to kind of help you all get a visual of what it is that I'm talking about instead of y'all just hearing me run my mouth. But they have, damn, I lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me. But I want you all to be able to understand what it is that I'm talking about when it comes down to the perversion part. That's the most important thing. Oh, drive-by-wire. They have something called drive-by-wire, right? Where your gas pedal is no longer connected to a cable. Your brake pedal and shit is no longer connected to a cable. Analog. You know what I'm saying? That's analog shit. For all you old timers and shit, y'all remember when we could go up under the hood of the car and hit the throttle body joint and pull on the lever and it'll rev the engine from underneath the hood and shit instead of stepping on the gas? Notice how all that shit just faded away? Notice how it was connected to a cable, right? And you could pull on it from underneath the hood like a box Chevy. Remember the box Chevys from back in the day? The old ass Cutlasses and the Regals and the Monte Carlos and shit from back in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s too, because you could do it all the way back there in the 50s, where you could rev the engine from up underneath the hood and shit. The throttle body was attached to a cable. The cable linkage was connected to the linkage of the gas pedal. And that's how you could, you know what I'm saying? Well, all that shit is gone now. It's digital. A lot of cars are like that now. Acura is one of the first motherfuckers that started it. If I'm not mistaken, they put it in this latest generation NSX. The Acura TLX, even what is it? The Type S version. I think even the base model ones are drive-by-wire, brake-by-wire, where it's no longer a cable connected to your brake pedal no more. that you push on and you activate the whole hydraulic system or the brake system in a car, because brakes in cars are hydraulic based. It worked very similar to how the hydraulics work in an elevator. Very similar to that. There's no longer that cable there. There's no longer that linkage. That shit is gone now. It's digital. You press the gas pedal and it sends a signal to a little control box. And that little signal and the control box sends it over to the gas pedal. And based on how far down you press the gas, that's how much based on how far down you press the gas pedal. When the signal sends it to the engine, it knows exactly how hard you pressed it, so it knows exactly how high to raise the RPMs. It's no longer a cable. Same thing when you go to step on the brakes. Depending on how hard you press the brakes, that sensor will send a signal. Runs through the ECU and all this other shit, and it goes straight to the brakes, and it tell the brakes, okay, he pressed it was this much force on the brake pedal. So you need to apply this much pressure to the calipers. So the calipers can press on the brake pads and the brake pads grab onto the rotor to slow the car down. There's no longer a cable doing this shit, man. It's all digital. These motherfuckers could run your ass off a fucking cliff, is what I'm really getting at. They could drive your ass straight into a mountain. Straight up. It's all digital. Now, I'm not finna sit up here and just say that technology is evil. But in the wrong hands, it's evil than a motherfucker. I'm going to play a little bit more of this before I get up out of here, and I'm going to give y'all my final commentary on this. And like I said, we're going to probably do a part 3 to this, because I want to show you guys some things in terms of how cars used to be, especially for the women, because I know a lot of times women don't be knowing. How cars used to be, and gradually over the time, what they've evolved into to the perversion that we're dealing with today. Because like I said, you get one of these Teslas or something like that, motherfucker take your temperature. They know your body temperature, man, while you driving down the fucking road. And it's like, well, come on, Lone Wolf, get the fuck out of here, man. How is that even possible? Do you know how many sensors that are in the driver's seat alone? Do you know how many sensors are in the driver's seat alone? Fuck the rest of the car. We just talking about the pilot. You need to deal with this nigga. You know how many fucking sensors is in your driver's seat? Man.
Unenroll all customers and was working on enhanced privacy controls aimed at greater transparency.
The agent I spoke to asked me, why are you canceling? I said, because, I just recently found out you're selling my data. I saw the report. I don't want to be a part of that.
Brant McDonald is still shocked by what he says the OnStar agent said next.
She said, well, even if you turn it off, we can still track you. We can still see what you're doing. And ending the phone call, she says to me, well, I hope you don't find yourself in a situation that you need us and we're not there. I hope you can stay safe out there on the roads. Have a good day. And I was pretty taken back by that statement.
McDonald tells us his auto insurance did not go up, and he's not included in any of the lawsuits against GM. But he won't forget this experience the next time he shops for a truck.
It makes me not want to buy another GM vehicle. And again, maybe there's other car.
Okay, and I'm going to stop it there, because it's not just GM. And I hope this is where the Lone Wolf come in at. It's for me to be that other extension to this story. So you all know that it's not just GM, man. I don't give a fuck if you got a Chevy, a Ford, a Dodge, Toyota make pickup trucks, Nissan make them. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you here and now, I don't give a shit who made your pickup truck. I'm telling you, I don't care who it was. It ain't just GM. It ain't just Chevy that's doing that shit. It's all of them. And this right here, again, is what I have been telling y'all about. Ain't no fucking real wars, man. These fucking wars they talking to you about on the TV and all this shit is not real. The real war is simple. All of the governments are in cahoots to get rid of their people. That's the fucking war, man. And you still got enough ignorant ass people out here that they can convince to go kill each other. That's the war. All that other shit they telling you is not real. The shit you hearing on TV is not real. They're all in it together. This is why nobody goes to jail. This is why you heard them use verbiage like, we're almost sure that, the company shouldn't be doing this, and, they violated some sort of privacy laws, and they started saying company. They didn't say John Brown or Ethan Hawke or Michael Jordan, real people. They didn't say Tavares Tankersley. They said the company. The company ain't real. A company is a fiction. It ain't real, man. It don't fucking exist. But men and women do. People do. Those creatures that have vaginas and penises. They come in all skin tones and heights and shapes. Those motherfuckers are real. The people that work inside the company. Those people are real. Companies are fiction. And that's why they hide behind that. That's why they use that type of language. But we're going to expose that in upcoming videos because you all need to know what is coming down the pike, man. These people have nothing good for you, me, or any of our future children, grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, and anything else that's coming down the pike that they don't fully control in terms of the so-called human existence. Okay? And you all need to understand that it all makes sense. It all ties you to your smart city. Your electric car will not let you go outside of the boundaries. And if you do, there'll be some sort of signal or alert that alert the fucking cops, and you'll get pulled over for leaving out of District 1. You live in District 1, nigga. Fuck you doing in District 7. Without a good reason. We didn't give you permission to be here. You don't have a license for District 7. And this is the reason for why y'all wonder why I resist this shit at all costs. Y'all hear me talk about, man, fuck driver's licenses and all that other shit. Aside from the fact I just bought that car from a full-blown dealership back in August with no license. Okay? And when I say a full-blown dealership, they sell brand new cars. You can walk in there off the street and order a car, pick your color. They fill your shit up with gas and all this other shit. They sell used cars, certified used cars. Full-blown dealership. The car I'm riding in right now, I bought it back in August with no fucking license. And y'all wonder why I act like this. Y'all wonder why I do that shit. Motherfuckers is tripping on me too. When I come pulling up, they, damn, man, you ain't got no license. I know, motherfucker. You don't need one. Anybody who told you need a license to buy a car from a dealership is a fucking liar or they're an idiot. You be the judge. But that's why I'm against it. Because like I said, all of that shit that they putting up with the shit on the towers and how they talk about 5G and all this other shit, but yet your phone don't run no faster. If anything, your shit runs slower. They telling you, oh, it's outdated. You need to get a better one. But it's like, motherfucker, this one is 8 months old. The fuck you talking about? That's because that shit 5G and 6G and 12Gs and all this other shit is not for your phone to work better. It's for the surveillance. It's for the fucking cars that got the OnStar that can tell how hard you braked. And then not only that, they didn't even give my man. They say he accelerated hard once. He broke hard 3 times within a certain period of time. But yeah, he never knew. They never gave him no parameter for what braking hard and braking soft is, or what accelerating hard and accelerating soft is. You just collecting data on this motherfucker. And what y'all deem to be hard braking or hard acceleration is what y'all put down. All without this motherfucker's knowledge. And then like how y'all heard in the news segment, his insurance didn't go up, but other motherfuckers that this has happened to did. When he went to research and investigate what was going on, he went online and found a whole community of motherfuckers that already been shagged by the same system. Do you understand? You have to stop tolerating this shit. Go back to carpooling. Get your fat ass out there and walk. You motherfuckers need to exercise anyway. But at the end of the day, what we're not supposed to do is accept the reality to where we can't even scratch our ass in peace and in private. Here it is. I ball up my face every time I'm behind some fucking asshole who ain't driving the way he's supposed to be. And when I finally get a chance to go around him as I'm coming alongside him, I see him digging all in his nose. That shit is frightening enough. Digging all. I'm talking about be way up in this shit too. You can see the lump inside that nostril he got the finger in and everything. That shit is traumatizing enough. You think I need to see the inside of a motherfucker car that got cameras and shit in it? No thanks. No thanks. Pretty soon you won't be able to belch without a motherfucker knowing what beer you drunk. This is Original Longwood, man. I'm going to get up out of here. I think I said enough in this video. Be on the lookout for part 2 because we're going to get into more of the mechanics and the specifics for anybody who made it to the end of this video. Be ready for part 2 and possibly a part 3 because we're going to get into the mechanics of cars, how they operate, the way they work, and the technology that has been introduced into them in the last 20 years. All right? I'm out, y'all. Much love.